Hi everyone. Let's take a look at how you can build a prompt. This is very useful when you have some kind of vision in your mind. So in this case, this image is something that I'm imagining or close to it, and I want to see how I could go about and create one from scratch. I am using Midjourney version 5.1, which is the current default version. I'm also going to be using aspect ratio parameter of the widescreen 16:9. However, you can use and choose whatever aspect ratio you want. If you leave it out, it's going to give you a square image. I'm also going to be looking at combining two different styles. This is something that it might not be immediately obvious. It's easy to just think of one style like abstract or Art Deco or anything like that. But Midjourney does an amazing job when you combine two or more different styles. So let's keep going. So how do you build a prompt? You start by very minimal amount of elements or tokens, and then you add one element at a time while you observe what happens when you do that. In this case, I wanted to start with a subject. Subject can be anything, and then a style or an aesthetic. So I decided to use portrait as my first test subject, basically because I want to have a person's face on the image. And then I'm going to add the style to it and the aspect ratio parameter, which is specified by --AR, and then you leave a space and 16:9. In this first one, I am using portrait minimalism. I like minimalism and the simplicity of it, so I want to see what it looks like without adding anything else to it. Here's another one of the portrait and minimalism. So here I'm just seeing that a lot of the faces of the females here are more looking like a photograph. It's just something that I'm noticing at this point. Now I'm going to look at what portrait and pop art looks like, because I love also the pop art style. So here again, I'm just observing pop art is very typical that you get one or more of the face in the one image, and I would prefer just to have one. So I'm going to test something else out right now as well. So instead of a portrait, I'm going to use a subject of a young woman, and then the style, and I'm going to use both minimalist and also the pop art. So here is one with the pop art. And you can see that most of them are, or basically all of them are illustrations. They are still too busy for my liking. And here is the young woman and minimalist. What is going on here? I am not exactly sure, but okay, this is not where I'm going. So I'm just noticing that I may get more than just a portrait if I use the young woman. The prompt portrait, pop art, minimalism is the next thing that I'm going to use, and I'm combining now the pop art and minimalism because I'm thinking that this is going to give me some really good results. So let's take a look. This is one of them, portrait and combining pop art and minimalism, and I'm starting to like this a lot better. This is the kind of aesthetic that I'm going for. Here's another one and another one. And I'm going to show you now, this is what they look when I upscale them. So anytime during this process, if I see something that I like, I upscale it so I can take a look at it a little bit closer. And I really love these styles. These are very close to what I'm looking for. Now I'm still going to play with the young woman as well versus the portrait and see what happens. And then again, combining the pop art and minimalism. And here is the result. Still very much what I'm looking for. All of these four I love, so I'm really liking this a young woman as a subject right now, so I'm probably going to continue with that. These are some of the upscaled images. Actually, I upscaled every single one of those last four images. Really liking this style. I still wanted to then add another test to this mix. I'm using a portrait of a young woman just to make sure if it gives me better results. And this is the result. Now, I personally, and this is completely your preference, whether you like this, that, or the other as your style, I like the young woman pop art minimalism as my base prompt. Once you have that, add colors to it. In this case, I am adding a young woman, pop art, minimalism, blue, and white. And here are the results. And now I'm observing that some of the images are more pop art illustrations and some are more of a photograph. Both of these I like a lot, so I'm not going to specify one way or the other. I like these results a lot. Here I changed the colors to green or teal specifically, and then orange. Here I used white and beige, neon colors, still all the otherwise the same prompt. And then I went with some earthy tones, pastels, and my favorite, cyan and crimson. And at this point, you can add anything else or something else. So I decided to add Finland. I am originally from Finland, and this is really the vision that I had in my head. I thought, wouldn't it be cool to make some kind of a cool poster or art that had the Finnish colors of the Finnish flag, blue and white, and then Finland, and then do this pop art minimalist thing. Here are some of these results. Now, anytime I do these, I run these prompts several times. So I rerun to see what kind of gems are in there. I never take the first run of any image because I am still somewhat aware that there could be some remnants left from previous things, although it's not supposed to be a thing. I have another video about that if you want to check that out. So I run these several times. Here are some of the upscaled images, my favorites really. This one I really like, and this one. And I could totally use this in any kind of a design work or as an inspiration for example, a marketing campaign or even as a wall art. Then I decided that, well, you could do this with any other country, Colombia, for example. And then I changed the subject because you can also now start changing other things. I changed it to a young man, and then I changed colors to yellow, blue, and red. And here are some of those results. Here are some upscales of that. So now the basic prompt is with the variables. You add some variable, for example, the country, the subject, and then pop art, minimalism, and then you can add the colors and any additional descriptors. For example, nebula, a young woman, pop art, minimalism, black and indigo. Here are those results. 70s hippie, a young man, pop art and minimalism. And in this one, I left the colors out. You can mix and match now and start playing with it and seeing what happens. And see which results you like the best. Then Matrix, a young woman, pop art, minimalism, black and dark teal. Here's that one. Threw in an Antarctica. Now let's take a look what happens if you do not specify the aspect ratio. You will get a square image. These also produce some amazing results. So it's totally then up to you which aspect ratio you want to use. And my suggestion would be to test out different ones and see which ones are your favorites. And sometimes it might be one of the one and another from another aspect ratio. Here is the 70s hippie. These actually are interestingly quite matching, and these are great. I love them. This is with the Finland one, and Finland young man and young woman. Here is with the teal and or crimson and cyan. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me anything in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them.